No, I said coffee.
Beer.
Coffee.
B-ear.
C-O-B-E. What? No. What? No. What? You went into the attic? I'm very disappointed and terrified. Why don't you bring this potato? It's pretty big.
Mom, you're always trying to give me potatoes. What is it with you?
I just think they're neat. Why do birds suddenly appear over there, over here? 8 spices. Some must be doubles. Oregano. What the hell? Oh no, not Lenny. Not Lenny. Kids, turn off the TV. I have some bad news about Lenny.
Not Lenny!
Live from the epicenter of independent cinema, it's Filmstuffs with your host, Jake S. Weisman. Tonight's guest, director, producer, and founder of Magic Dog Productions, Simone Kisiel. With me, the original Klimke Diddlehopper, Jack Quint. Let's start the show!
Greetings, film dorks. Jake S. Weisman here. Welcome to the show. I'm so excited. We've been riding high all week from last week's episode with Erica. We have Simone here today, and it's going to be out of control. I'm so excited to find out how independent filmmakers do their thing on the East Coast this time around. What's up with that? I'm super Chicago. We've had a lot of people on the West Coast. What's the East Coast all about? Before we get started, what's in the news? Saw. Chris Rock's Spiral Saw film is in the theaters now. I can't see it anywhere else. I can only see it in the theater. And I thought to myself, I wish this was on Prime. I'd probably watch it, but I'm not going to break my seal to go to the theater for it. So we're unceremoniously opening up theaters again. What will be successful when Black Widow comes out and makes $20 million over the first weekend? Will that be a huge success? Does that even matter for us as we're independent filmmakers? Let's talk about it. Also, I wanted to share my own personal experiences this weekend. I got my final clean sheets rejection for a film festival, and I got my final screenplay rejection from a Screencraft film festival. I am not looking for sour grapes. It's more of a celebration. I did this experiment of, you got to try and get your movie out there. Rejection is such a big part of the independent life. I wanted to share it with you. We'll talk about that a little bit. Clean Sheets is up on YouTube. Watch it. And as far as Screencraft goes, I'm not sending them any more screenplays. If we decide to talk about that later, we can talk about that later. Jack.
Here I am.
Oh, man. Well done, Jack. Well done.
Well done to you for your contributions and your submissions to the festivals and all that. That is no small undertaking and nothing to be sneezed at.
Well, thank you. I'm not crazy about the experience. I'll be perfectly honest with you. And I did it because I wasn't going to submit to anything. And my therapist said, you know what you should probably do? Submit to film festivals. And so I took, hey, zombies, listen to Zombie Banana Spiders. It's a podcast on YouTube. They talk about horror. They get real deep. So definitely go check that out. My Bones is on that podcast. My wonderful, wonderful Bones, who just have to say, look what she did. Look what Bones did.
Oh, that's adorable. It's really nice.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
I can't wait to frame it.
Yeah.
I know. I'm so excited.
So cool.
Put me in a single, Jack. Can you put me in a single?
Of course. Yeah.
Jack, put me in a single,
boy.
please.
Oh God. There it is.
Look what she did. And then this is the best part. Little Bones on the back.
Hello. It's like Kilroy in a way.
I know. So she has her own YouTube channel. Jack, come back. Thank you. She has her own YouTube channel called Horalius Art. Haunts this journal, and it's my favorite art channel, and you should definitely watch it because Bones kills it. just
I'm looking for it right now. That's part of it.
Ah, yes. Horalius art haunts this journal. Some really awesome fine art. Have you ever wanted to see interesting horror-themed fine art on YouTube? Because there's a place for it now. All right, Jack. Well,
before we continue on, I just need everyone to know that this is the time to like, share, and subscribe what you are watching. Go to jellyrollchicago.com, and that is where you can find all the best stuff. Of course, you're already watching us, so you know where to find us, but you can always like, share, and subscribe. Hit the like, ring that bell, and of course, if you are watching us on YouTube, then you are watching us in the highest definition. You can still watch us on Twitch and on Facebook, but it is higher quality on YouTube, and this is going to be especially important at the end of the month when we do our recap and we show the films that we talk about from the series throughout the month.
Yeah.
And of course, when that is done, we encourage you to go to the filmmaker's website and show them some love. Because we really appreciate them, and we wouldn't be doing this if not for the films of our wonderful guests.
100%. And a very, very thank you. We got a handful of new subscribers and viewers since the last week. You know what? I watch so carefully. Every single view means so much. I'm like, oh my God, one more. We got one more. So we're up to like 80 right now, and I'm feeling really good. Jack, you introduced me to our guest today.
I did, yes. I met our guest on the festival circuit here in New York. Before I was even submitting my film to festivals, I happened to be taking a bunch of classes at UCB, and through a mutual friend, she said, I've got my film in a festival, and I went to see what that was all about. And I met today's guest, who is a very funny, very eccentric filmmaker, and just very skilled and very. I will let her tell the rest, but this is my good friend Simone Kisiel, who you are going to meet today.
I can't wait. Let's just start the show. I thought I had something to do, and I'm just like, we'll just do it. Let's just talk.
Without further ado, here is Simone.
Hi.
Hello.
Welcome to Filmstuffs Live.
And
Thank you so much for having me.
You from here.
Jack, we'll see you on the other side. Thank you.
Bye, Jack.
I had the pleasure of watching some of your movies today.
That's why you're feeling so kerfluffled.
Well, it's wonderful because one of them was they both have some really interesting things in common, which we'll talk about. And I want to show some trailers in a second. You have a wonderful satire. You have a wonderful reflection on the world, which is kind of what I want to see in a horror film. I'm always looking for, what is this movie actually about? Like, we're all well with zombies, we're all well with bugs and stuff like that, but what's this movie really about? And it was nice to see that you have so many layers in your movies. It was really fun to watch today. So where are you? What was the last one you did? What was the last film you made?
Well, you saw the two features.
Okay.
So the last film I made was a short film called Tartarus, and that's going to be hitting festival circuits soon. That was actually shot during the pandemic. It's the only film I shot during the pandemic. And
Goodness.
It was a wild ride, but it's behind us, and it worked out well, and I'm really excited for that film. I think you've got a trailer for that one.
Yes, I do. We will definitely play that.
Yeah, it's like a weird, surrealist nightmare escape about being human.
Oh, well, Jack, play it, because now I have a million questions about making a movie in a pandemic. What are you doing to me here? We don't have enough time for all this. Jack, play Tartarus if you give when you get a chance, please. You can leave. I would have never guessed that was a pandemic shoot.
Yeah, it was with a client, Bombard Productions, who I'd previously made a short film with pre-pandemic, and they were really excited. They wanted to make another film, and we sort of settled on what we were doing. And then I went on a trip, and I came back, and the pandemic struck.
Right.
And so I was like, we have to hold now, like indefinitely. And then months and months later, they were like, well, we paid you. Like, could we have our film, please? And so I worked really hard to make sure that everybody would be safe and that we were following all the protocols to get it done. But it was sort of catering to that in the first place, because there was only 2 actors in the film, and they were primarily spread pretty far apart. There was only one moment where they were like actually close together. And so otherwise, like it went surprisingly well.
Cool.
Once we got the logistics worked out on the top end of it, the actual shoot itself was very much like a normal shoot, just more face masky.
Were you terrified in pre-production? Or is that, I mean, that's like strong, that's hyperbolic, but like, like what was that like when they called and was like, hey, I don't care that there's a pandemic, make the damn movie?
Well, to be honest, if I thought that it was going to put my casting crew at a serious risk, I just wouldn't have done it. I would have just been like, sorry, no.
Right.
So it was always with that caveat, and we were able to work it out so that we were able to do it, and everybody got tested like right before, and it was only a 2-day shoot. It was okay. Way faster than normal. So it all sort of came together, and everybody understood, including the client whose money was at stake, that in the event that somebody felt sick or they tested positive, shoot's off. Yeah. So like, sorry, you're going to lose a lot of money, but like the health and safety of my crew and cast is paramount at every single moment of the day. And there's just no compromising on that ever.
It's nice to hear. That was a big reason why I started doing YouTube in the first place, was because they just kept moving. I used to work in a movie theater and they kept them open.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know what's happening right now. Why won't someone do something about this? All I could do is just kind of scream into a void, which is why I liked watching your movie. Housed has some really fun stuff about just like, why? Just why? Why are we doing what we're doing?
I think there's even a line that's like, am I just screaming into the void?
Yeah. And then start screaming into the void. It's wonderful, because I feel that way often. Even having a feature on Amazon Prime is just like, so we're in the middle of the ocean. Cool. You have a couple of films on Prime. That's where I watched Bugs, and that's where I watched House. So when Jack first introduced me to you, your movies were free to stream on Prime. And I was very excited to watch them. When I went back, and if you've been watching the show, audience, this is something we've been tracking for the past couple of weeks. Simone and I have talked about it a little bit off camera. Now I had the pleasure of paying for the films, but they were available to stream. I don't know. It's so complicated because they're still available to stream. They're just available for purchase, not with your Prime membership. Tell me how you feel about that. How did this go down for you, and what does that mean for your films?
Well, first of all, I did not authorize this. I at no point was I okay with this or said it was cool. Amazon is both a wonderful platform to distribute content, and it is also the most annoying platform to distribute content because they don't really care about the content creators. I mean, why should they? Because they're making so much money and they're doing just great. So this is just sort of like an extra thing that they did. Mm-hmm. I have a distributor. My distributor is lovely, Indie Rights, very lovely. And they are the ones who helped me get Housed and Bugs on Amazon and all the other platforms that it's on. And they were chugging along, doing great for like 2 years, free on Prime. Yeah, it was like, it was going great. Everybody was happy. And then we got a notice from the distributor saying that Prime, there were some films that fell below a certain level of viewership, I guess, or like I think it's called CER. I should have refreshed on this, but basically there's the algorithm dictated that our film Bugs should not be free on Prime. Was Housed not free on Prime anymore?
No. Neither of them are free.
I didn't know that. The last time that
we're breaking it.
Breaking news, none of my films are free now. So last time I checked, House was free on Prime. And now I have to go change all my things and say that it's not free on Prime. Thanks for letting us know.
Of course. No, that's how I found out, because I, for 420, told everyone to go watch my movie for free, and then was like, oh, my movie hasn't been free for a month.
Oh, just kidding.
Good to know. Well, that's so interesting, because I remember them saying, okay, and it was in the news. I try and keep, abreast of this stuff, but that we're going to stop taking shorts and we're going to stop taking docs. And in my head, I'm like, okay, that makes sense to me. The docs definitely make sense to me, just because there's so much like fact checking that you can't really, that they're not willing to do. So I think for as many solid, great movies like Icarus or whatever, that's on Netflix, but like whatever great documentary they're doing, there's someone else doing a God knows political whatever the hell, and they're just like, you know what, just not making enough money to even deal with this.
I hadn't thought about that.
That's my thought.
Well, it does make sense, right? Because Amazon, the platform of Amazon, gives something like a clout or a seal of approval, and if it's got misinformation or it's predatory or wrong, then Amazon is lending them authenticity that they shouldn't have. And I honestly never thought about it that way.
Oh,
that makes sense.
That was the first thing that came to my head, because I like alien documentaries, you see. I want to believe.
How is it going with vetting those? Are they real stories, or
some of them? Honestly, some of them people really believe it. Depending on who's the Bob Lazar. I won't get into it. The Bob Lazar one and the Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind are the ones that people actually believe. I have problems with all of it. Like I'll sit there and listen to Tom DeLonge talk from Blink-182. I'll listen to him talk for hours, being like, "Give me anything." Give me anything, and I still don't buy anything that he says. I'm like, I'm open to it, but that's not what. This isn't my alien show, Simone.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
And then the short that I starred in that we showed on the first Film Stuffs was uploaded maybe a week before they said no more shorts. That I don't understand as much as people just aren't watching shorts, right? Like if no one's clicking on the shorts, then it's just taking up space, right?
Yeah, I would say they're a business, right? So why do they do anything? It's not making them enough money, so they're going to take it down.
Sorry. You've been an independent filmmaker for a really long time, because just follow the green. Just follow the green.
But it's true. Because in my mind, like my limited understanding of like how the cloud works and how like these platforms work, it's not really, hi Summer, it's not really costing Amazon anything to host these like 13, 14-minute films. So I guess they must see them as some sort of distraction that's pulling views from their content that actually makes money, because like why would it cost them anything to host that stuff?
Cumulatively, how many hours is it? And if no one is clicking on a short to anyway, then cumulatively that's like having a bunch of duds. You know what I'm saying? So it is that thing where we're sitting here being like just give me your free real estate, goddammit. Like I just give me, please, it worked before. Why can't you
like it costs nothing, right? Like does it cost nothing?
All the money in the world. Do you understand how much money it would cost us when it costs you nothing? But like we were talking about before, the new Lord of the Rings TV show that's on Amazon is going to be half a bill. It's half a bill.
It was
$250 million for the rights alone, right? And are they the ones trying to do? Oh, I think HBO is trying to do the new Game of Thrones shows, but that's kind of right. Anyway, okay, so switching gears. No, so talk to me about Bugs. Talk to me about how did that project start?
Well, it started in a similar way to Housed, actually. I went to school for acting. I'm not qualified on paper for anything but that. And I don't do that at all anymore, ever. So when I graduated, it became clear that I needed to learn some sort of technical skills, some hard skills that I could be paid for. If you're going to live in New York City, like you got to be paid for something. and no one's paying actors at that level at all. I sort of started working with Stone Street Studios, and that's the film and television studio affiliated with NYU. And I ended up, after a very, very short period of interning, like a month, I ended up being a production coordinator, and I learned how to edit there. And I also sort of learned how to direct and produce there. So I worked there for 3 years. And I had a really great mentor in Gary Bennett. And then, at sort of the end of those 3 years, I was like, well, I know how to make a film now. So I want to and I was very lucky because I had 2 former students of mine approach me, and they said, we have this crazy idea for what was originally a web series, Housed. They're like, we want you to direct it. And I was like, neat, because I was planning on quitting my job and starting to do this. So it worked out. Nice. And then the woman who actually wrote Housed was successful. We won an award at the Miami Web Fest. And it was super fun to make. And so the woman who wrote Housed was like, I have an idea for an anthology of horror. And I was like, write that shit.
Nice.
Write it now. And she wrote it. And so when she sent it to me, I saw a bunch of different options. So of course it works as an anthology feature film, but let's say that something catastrophic happened and we weren't able to finish the film. We would at least have a short film to be sent to festivals, or maybe 2 short films.
Right.
So it was also such that we could produce it in 3 chunks. So when she had this great idea for a story. And so the story behind Bugs is there's not very many bugs in the movie. There's about 3 whole minutes of bugs in the movie. And the point that we're using bugs as an allegory, the allegory being that being a human woman in this world is scary in the same way that bugs are inevitably creepy. So it's there are inherent facts about bugs that freak us out evolutionarily. And there are inherent facts about being a woman, particularly in a big city like New York, that are just scary. You don't need monsters or demons. It's just scary to be alive sometimes.
Yeah. That absolutely came through. Jack,
Awesome.
Can we, oh my gosh. Jack, can we play the trailer for Bugs, please? When we get a chance?
Thank you, Jack.
Love it.
When's my mom coming to get me?
She'll come as soon as she's better. It's only for a few days, Elliot.
Elliot?
Your blood tests show that you're making significant progress. You just have to be patient and trust me.
You look exhausted.
Just kept waking up.
More nightmares?
Yeah,
You're probably just being paranoid.
I have bites on my wrist.
There are monsters in my room. I'm not making it up.
Why don't you believe me?
Do you want to make her even sicker? Let me go!
If you think that is true, you are more delusional than I could even have imagined.
There's nothing there.
I can't emphasize this enough. Definitely go to Amazon. Definitely buy this movie. It's a wonderful watch. The lead in that film is the writer, correct?
Yes.
And what's her name?
Her name is Alexandra Grunberg.
And so you guys go back as far as Housed, or?
Yes, she's the writer of Housed, and she was also in Housed. She played Maggie, if you recall.
Yeah.
And so she's the resident writer at Magic Dog, and frankly, she's my partner. She's my right-hand man. I don't like making decisions without her because she is just the most incredible artist I know. She's just amazing. So right now she's at the University of Glasgow getting her doctorate in writing.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what are you doing writing wise? Like, what are you doing in the meantime while she does all this? Or is she just writing? Actually, is she like emailing you stuff?
Well, while I do have a minor in creative writing from NYU, I'm just like, I'm not that good at it compared to people that I know. So I already direct, produce, and edit. And on things like Bugs, like I was the makeup designer and the caterer and the costumer and like every job that wasn't, camera, whatever. So one thing I've learned is like, I have to decide what's most important for me to do, things that I love the most, things that I'm best at. And I need to let other people do the other things. So she's an amazing writer. She's phenomenal. So I let her write primarily. So she's written several feature films while she's doing her doctorate, and she's incredible. She really is incredible. But I also I'm working with several other writers on different things. I had right before the pandemic started, we were doing these Magic Dog micro shorts where people were submitting like a 45-second or less piece, and we were going to produce it, and we ended up doing like 5 of them. Anyways, one of the writers she submitted 3 pieces, and I liked them all so much. And I said to Alexandra, can I just pick all 3? And she was like, this is your contest. You can do whatever you want. And I was like, I don't want to be a dick though. Like I want to give other people a chance. So I picked 2 of hers. Anyways, the point is I loved her writing. And when I had an idea for a film that I wanted to flesh out, I wanted to create the script for, I reached out to her. And so I'm now working with both Alexandra and another woman named Tiffany, who's amazing, on different scripts right now simultaneously. Nice.
What kind of stories are you willing to talk about?
Ooh,
if nothing, that's okay.
Well, one of them I'm really, really excited about, but I'm feeling really paranoid that someone's going to steal the idea.
That's fine.
I've never felt before because I always think that's very stupid, but like nobody's heard of this thing and it's plague related, so I'm gonna not say it.
Okay. Okay. You can tell me off air.
I'll tell you off. I will tell you off air.
Wonderful. We got this private chat here. You can just chat it up to me. Okay. Wonderful. Tell me more about. So you went to NYU.
I did.
NYU like Tisch straight up.
Yes, NYU Tisch.
What was that like? I only did the tour. I only got as far as the tour. They said 45,000 a semester, and everyone in the room went, "Oh!" And then I never heard from Tisch again.
Yeah. I'm extremely fortunate that I come from a family of people. My parents were able to put me through school. I don't think I could be doing what I'm doing right now if I didn't have the privilege and the fortune of having parents who could put me through school. Just like. Period.
Agreed.
So I had the world was my oyster, and if I could get into NYU, they were going to pay for it. But the thing is, Jake, before I applied to NYU, I'd never played a human woman in any kind of production because I don't know if you noticed, but I've got this like deep manly voice. And so, and all the little girls in high school were like, "Hi, I'm Jessica," or whatever. And I was like, "What's up? I'm Simone." And so they were like, "All right, well, you're going to play a dude every time." So I played like a pirate. I played in Peter Pan. I played a football player. I played like 4 different male characters in Our Town. I hate that play. But like,
you murdered every one of them.
No, I had like 3 lines. They were like, just bring her back for the other guy. Like, she just changed her cap.
They didn't even do Shakespeare. Like, you weren't even allowed to do like Romeo or something.
No. And then I did get to play a chimpanzee. So I applied to NYU. I did all these auditions. All these different schools pays for them in the city and otherwise.
Right.
And I had never played a woman ever. And so I was like, it sort of had this like fuck it attitude of like, sure. I believe in me. And it's up to you to like understand what I've got going. Like, so I've got a chimpanzee football player pirate vibe. And you either are on board with that or you're not. Right. So anyways, getting into NYU was like, it was absurd. So I showed up to NYU and Elizabeth Olsen was in my class at NYU. We went to school together at Atlantic.
That's crazy.
Yes. Among many other very wealthy and highly educated kids in like acting in film and theater. A lot of these kids went to I can't remember what the school's called, but they went to the like specialty school in New York City for the arts. Like they were basically like Broadway kids. And I was like, hi, I'm a chimp. So NYU was shocking. As far as like, I'm just a Maryland girl. And And it was interesting later on to hear that Lizzie said she was like, I was really intimidated by you because you seemed to know like who you were, what you wanted. And I was like, you know, you got an Olsen face, right? Like you're an Olsen with the face.
That's insane.
So the actual school there, NYU was an incredible education for acting. I went to Atlantic and then I did Stone Street. It's not for the faint of heart.
Yeah.
I had a lot of friends drop out of school altogether. There's a pretty high like suicide rate at NYU. Like it's a boot camp.
Oh, keep going. Sorry.
Especially Atlantic Theater Company, at least when I went, and now this was 10 years ago, and things have actually changed because people were complaining to NYU. But when I went, they really wanted to empty your cup and fill it with something new. And questions and pushback, like why? Why? Can you explain that to me? It was really unwelcome. I'm a questioner.
Sure.
I don't just digest and swallow what's said to me. So I have a lot of questions about everything all the time, and so they didn't like that. So it was an interesting experience every single day, just getting through that. And I think it is one of the main reasons why I'm almost sort of impervious to like rejection or difficulty in that kind of way, because you know we'd get up on stage and we'd perform and the teacher in the class would be like garbage, you know, like you yourself, like you are talentless and you're ugly, you know, like like that was the vibe of like. It was like an attack. And so I was like, I just showed you all my stuff. Like I just showed you my heart. And you're like, gross, you know, like, and especially with what we were talking about with your rejections, like it was hard at the time.
Yeah.
But I attribute the fact that nobody can sort of like rattle me or get me down or like say that I'm not good enough to the fact that I endured those 2 years of that being told I wasn't good enough.
Right. Is that why people have such a hard time getting through? Is because they're sensitive artists? Is it just like just the sheer, is there a wide swath of reasons?
Definitely the sensitive artist thing, which is totally fair. You're showing, especially when you're acting. Like I was an actor and I'm a filmmaker, I'm a writer, you know, all these different things. There's nothing more vulnerable than acting. There just isn't.
Yeah.
So when you do that, you're taking a massive risk. And when then in a school environment where and then people come down on you like that, it's like, well, I'm never going to try shit again ever.
Right.
But the other aspect, Jake, is that it was just really grueling. We had studio 3 days a week, 9 hours a day. And that was just studio. Like and that was like other classes, like school classes, like college classes were on Tuesday and Thursday. So it's like every single day was booked solid with stuff. And then we'd have all these scenes to do. And so we'd have to rehearse. Like there were times that I was rehearsing until 3 a.m. and I had to be in class at 8:15, you know, a 20-minute walk from me. So it was physically grueling, like boot camp. And so it's like you spent all day crying and now you get like 2 hours of sleep and it's time to act tomorrow. Like,
right. I can understand definitely being in that and having a hard time and then looking back at it and being like, well, I'm hard as fuck now.
You really can't hurt my feelings.
Yeah, you took tomatoes in New York City. I think it's okay.
Yeah, it's not possible anymore.
So when you joined Stone Street, when did it go from acting to I would rather do something else, unless you already, I mean, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but
no, there's an answer. It's me at the end of the day. I don't wait well, and I don't walk into rooms like, please, sir, am I pretty? May I have a job? Well, I don't respond to like a series of men behind a table holding the cards to my future well. That to me is like, yeah, it's like you don't get to decide. So immediately after graduation, I hit the ground running with acting, and I was like dedicated. I was like, I'm going to be an actor. Like there was no question. And I did a series of web series and some short films. I think I did like 7 projects that first summer, and only one of those 7 were completed ever. And so of course we're not paid. So what we get is the finished footage, the film. So we can put it on our reels. We can use it as an example of our work. So like I went to Jersey. I went all the crazy places to like do these things, and people just didn't finish their work.
Sure.
And I was like, first of all, how dare you? Like, all these people showed up and they did this thing, and like, all you have to do is sit at your desk and edit this thing, get it done. Like, I have no patience or sympathy. Like, you asked for this to happen, now get it done. So after seeing that, and also the roles for women are garbage. And I'll give you a very specific, very quick example. I was looking at a short film that I was going to audition for, and the male role was first, and the male role said, witty, wise, knowledgeable, and charming. And I was like, oh, well, first of all, what a dude.
Yeah.
Second of all, I understand all these things. I can play them. Okay. Yeah. And then the female character was the co-lead. They were the same. Her entire description, and this is real, was hot but doesn't know it.
Oh.
And I'm like,
oh no.
Well, that's not a character trait. How do you play that other than like, I'm dumb?
Oh no.
And I don't play dumb very well. Like, it's just not so. So I was looking at that. I was like, we can do better. Like, we can do better than this. So it was about that time that the semester was starting back up, and I was like, hi, I'd like an internship, please. And they were like, okay. And then about a month into it, I was like, hi, I'm worth more than being sent to like Home Depot on runs. Like, educate me and I will make you money. And like, we'll do. And they were like, all right, we're going to teach you how to edit. Like, you can have a job.
Oh, that's great.
So it was, I really intended to, and I always wanted to be an actor. It just turns out that you have to wait and you have to hope, and there has to be serendipity and luck. And I'm a doer, not a waiter.
Sure.
So, although I was a waiter in high school, but
you were serving.
Well, I'm serving now. It's just not serving food. I'm serving hot, but doesn't know it.
That's a big deleted scene in my first feature. There's an audition where she waits for 2 hours and then sits down, and then they immediately say no, and I play the director saying no. And it originally in the script there was just this big long scene. We shot the whole thing of just like, what the fuck is wrong with you? She just like unloads on him for the zombie. It's like a zombie student film kind of a thing. Because what you were talking about was very notorious at my school. I went to Columbia College Chicago. Nice. Actors used to come in all the time to audition for things and be like, I don't give a fuck. Give me the short at the end, please. And people just wouldn't. They just wouldn't. And then they would come back. They're like 70-year-old ladies doing these shorts for these kids. And the kids just won't, like, I got my grade. It's cool. It's done. So that definitely stuck with it, which is the idea of having like unfinished footy just kind of hanging over the head is brutal. It's amazing what you'll get done to edit that kind of thing. So where are we? Nice eyebrows.
I don't know where we are, Jake. This is your show.
I know. I'm so caught up. Have you shot all over the country? Oh, nice picture.
Oh, that is a good picture. I've shot all over the country, and I've even shot in Mexico. I'm an international filmmaker.
Wonderful. And are you mostly based out of, have you shot like most of your independent stuff in New York City?
Most of the stuff that we've shot has been in New York City. Actually, all but 2 films I think I've ever made were shot in New York City. One was shot in Darien, Connecticut, and one was shot in LA. Okay,
cool. What are some specific, I don't know, what are specific things to shooting in New York City? Like, what do you got to deal with if you're there? Like, you got to deal with permits and stuff like that? Do you guerrilla shoot?
Oh, it depends. It totally depends on what you're doing. I've gotten permits for all kinds of things. So this wasn't my movie, but I was the production manager on my very good friend Eric Swizz's movie called Scenes from the Underground, which was shot entirely on the New York subway. Oh. And so like there was a lot of interesting shenanigans. That was the guerrilla film. Like if it was my film, I would have been like, we need permits, we got to get it done. But they were like, let's just do it. And so we sort of wung it. And there was times when they were trying to shut us down. And so that was like the guerrilla style. When I do this, I get permits, I get it right. So I've shot in like Riverside Park, you just get a permit. They're like, give us a donation. And I'm like, here's $20. like this. But otherwise, you get the location, and then you be very careful to make sure that you're treating the location with care and respect, and that you're leaving it in such a way that other people in future will have the same opportunity. I can't tell you how many times I've called or shown up somewhere and people have just been like, sorry, we don't do film shoots because we've been burned too many times. Sure. So like, thank you to all the previous filmmakers who acted like jerks and like made it so that we can participate. So, you know, we've rented Airbnbs, we've rented, I think it was on Pure Space, I got a space. Usually I'm just upfront, straightforward. I'm like, hi, I'd like to shoot a movie in your place. Here's what I plan to do. And usually people are like, great.
Cool.
Yeah, so I think it depends on what you're doing. I've mostly been in, like, you saw Bugs, it takes place exclusively in apartments. Oh no, there's that one scene in a cafe.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah, but like it's usually my experience in New York is like very small apartment with white walls. Sure. Enjoy.
Well, that's cool. Oh my goodness, you make me all tongue-tied. Tell me about your influences. Like what, as you make movies, as you decide, okay, I'm not going to act, I'm going to create my own stuff. You have people writing for you. What are the movies that you dig deep on and want to keep moving forward on with your stuff?
I like this question. The biggest influence is it's got to be Hitchcock, because I prefer.
I wrote Hitchcock when I watched your movie. I know you can't say it, but I did it.
Oh, that's like, oh yes. The thing that I like about Hitchcock is like, well, okay, so in modern horror, the tendency is to show the thing that's scary. And so like, if you take an example, like The Exorcist, that was not the case at the time. And they stayed on her face so long because it was revolutionary to have that. Nowadays, we're like, wow, that looks like shit. Like I can see her makeup, like, so they have to use all these CGI and things. So I've always been of the mind that we are our own personal creators of our own best terrors, which is why I like to read, because when you read something, you're painting your own picture of your scariest version of that. So that's what I like about Hitchcock's work, is that he gives you the impression of, or the idea of, or he implies a bit of violence or some horror, and then you have to fill in the gaps. Sure. So you're filling it in with your scariest shit.
Right.
So I like, that's just the vibe I go with. Nobody's coming to my film there've been a number of people who've watched Bugs been like, what? And I'm like, yeah, you had to pay attention. You had to watch and listen and focus. Like if you just sort of cursory listened while scrolling Instagram, you're going to be like, what the fuck happened? And that's that's fair. You have to listen. So it caters to people who want to watch and digest and think and experience instead of just like have it hit them. And they're like, I got it.
That was one of the things I really enjoyed about Bugs, was this idea that I noticed right away, like, there aren't a lot of bugs in this movie, which is just fine. But I really did. Oh my goodness. I just totally lost my train of thought. Oh, Weisman.
There weren't a lot of bugs.
No.
When you watched Bugs, you were like...
Oh, I loved that there's so many different definitions of the word bug. Like, you kind of went through every single way I could think of the word bug. And I was like, that's very, very clever. And I definitely picked up on that early on. Other influence questions. Have you ever read Black Hole by Charles Burns?
No, I have not. I'm going to take this down right now.
Curious about that.
Did I rip something from him without realizing?
No, I think you just like it. I was curious because you'll read it and you'll say, I get it, because it's an allegory, it's a graphic novel, and it's set through the filter of an 80s horror film, but it's not about that whatsoever. It's just about growing up and other things. You'll see. I don't want to give anything away, so I was curious about that. Also, I don't know, do you watch I can't pronounce his name, Yorgos Lanthimos or whatever his name is? Do you watch his stuff?
Yeah, well, I've seen Dogtooth and what's the other one that's not the lobster? So,
The Killing of a Sacred Deer?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yes, I do. I've seen those two.
Cool. Yeah, I definitely thought about Killing of a Sacred Deer. And
is amazing. Thank you, first of all. And second of all, it's like I love his films because they're weird in the way that like I'm sort of weird.
Yeah.
But they're also infuriating because they don't give me anything. I'm like, give me the answers. But then I've realized I've also done that, and so I have to like be cool. I have to be cool.
Yeah, pull out your best Kubrick kind of a thing.
I need to be cool about being mad that people aren't giving me answers if I'm going to make films that do that.
Right. I want to know more. The whole Greek independence scene is so interesting to me, and I know almost nothing about it. But I do understand that his movies in particular, and I've only seen The Lobster and Sacred Deer and the other one, the
Dogtooth?
The Favorite.
I've seen that.
Yeah, that's like the big American breakout with Emma Stone and stuff like that. So his stuff, I guess it's very much like Greek tragedies, and like it goes back. Like these Greek filmmakers go all the way back to Euripides and shit, and like that's what you're watching. And it took me so long to understand like that's what Killing of a Sacred Deer is, but that's some of the stuff that I watch where I think that's the movie that starts on open heart surgery, and it's just straight up shots of open heart surgery. And I was like, that's your shots of bugs are just like these shots of bugs that are disgusting. I was going to warn my mother before showing your trailer, and I didn't. So sorry, Mom. But it all comes through. Oh, that's the other one. Bones wanted to know if Black Swan was a part of it at all.
Yes. Obviously for the third segment that has ballet influences, and also the first one with how the aesthetic of how Diane looks in that one.
Keep going.
Oh no, Alexandra herself is a dancer, so it was really easy to sort of just get her to do that.
And she played all three leads.
Yes, she did.
What was there anything behind that was more? Thanks, Mom. Was there anything behind that more than it's easier to have the lead be the lead for the entire thing, or was there a deeper storytelling reason for casting her as all three?
It's sort of both. Well, Alex wrote the script. She wanted to be in it. Cool. She's a great actress. I'm down with that. Right. But also it's a similar theme to like what Bugs is about, in that this all like it's universal. Yeah. Like bugs or certain things about bugs and how they creep us out is universal. So it's you don't have to be a particular type of woman to endure somebody not believing you at the doctor, or to endure dealing with a violent child, or somebody, not believing you when you report trauma. You don't have to be a certain type. Right. So you can be the same person across the board, and you can experience all these different things equally and traumatically in the same way. So it was sort of to equalize them and make it a level playing field. Yeah, Summer knows.
That's fabulous. I love that kind of move. I like a good move. And when we realized we were watching it, we're like, that's the same actress. And we knew that she wrote it too. And we're like, choices. We like choices. Wonderful. Thank you. Jack. Oh, Jack, you want to join us?
Jack.
Here I am.
Hi, Jack.
Hey, Simone.
Now we're entering the crazy horse portion of the show.
I don't know what's going to happen.
It's like roulette questions now. I get one good one, and then it all just goes off the rails from there.
It just means that if I lose my train of thought, Jack can actually say something. So
I try.
Jack, what's weighing on your brain?
Okay, there are a number of things that are weighing on my brain, and I'm going to turn this a little bit back a week ago to when Jake and I talked about Crimson Peak. And you mentioned that Bones was really looking forward to watching that, and
she was looking forward to watching The Innocents, which influenced Crimson Peak. We're watching all of these influences. I just watched Rebecca for the first time.
Well, now I don't feel so bad because I'm about to put a little bit of hate on Crimson Peak.
Okay,
but it's within.
Oh,
context,
I'm excited! Hit me, Jack.
Okay. So Crimson Peak, to me, just is this film that's sort of all over the place and can't really decide what it's going to be. And it's grandiose, it's over the top, and it is completely humorless, which ends up working against it. And I find it Just all the choices are, it's like walking on a landmine. Every single move is like a landmine, and I find it absolutely hilarious, the things that happen very accidentally.
That's Del Toro, right?
Yeah, it's Del Toro, but I also get the feeling that it's not quite the movie he wanted to make, and it's like, who is driving the car here? Now, with that in mind,
okay,
that was my takeaway from it.
Okay.
With that in mind, one of the things that I really like about your films, Simone, is that you have this dichotomy where there's horror happening and things do start to get over the top, but you also really embrace a lot of the hilariousness with that, and it's very intentional, and it works out very well. And I'm thinking specifically of Good Intentions with Julie and the choices that she makes, and she's a really great actress, and you have her in a lot of your projects, so it's really great that I've gotten to see a lot of her range. But you even get to see it with Bugs when I love the scene when she and Alex are in the cafe, and Alex says, "I have bed bugs." She's like, "You don't have bed bugs." Just the gaslighting scene, like, what do you mean I don't have?
We had a very long conversation about that performance.
But you just really lean into things that are absurd and horrific and hilarious, and it plays very well. So I was kind of wondering how you manage doing that when you're on set and just kind of being able to do that and work with your actors with that.
I have to tell you, I think it's got very little to do with me and a lot to do with Julia. She's like, can you imagine if that woman, the character, was your mom? Like,
I would be furious.
Oh my God. Like, so basically
like you feel your brain dying as that's happening.
Like, I feel like my whole skin gets hot and I'm like, oh no. Like,
yes.
Okay. So what I was sort of thinking is, I have the most wonderful mother in the world. Like, she is, I don't know if she's still watching, but if she is, this is not because you're watching. It's true. She is the best. Okay. So Julie, the woman, Julia, is very similar to my mom. They're both lawyers. Julie was a lawyer. They've like got like a similar vibe. So when I cast Julia as this mother, I was like, this is like the evil version of my mom, if my mom was evil. So it was really fun and kind of easy to push it really far because of how non-evil my own mother is. She had to be as far away from her as I could possibly get them to be.
Right.
So the way that she reacts is like the opposite spectrum side of the way that my mom would react. So that outburst of like, you're an idiot, or like, you're lying, is like the absolute inverse. My mom would quietly be like, oh my God, we will solve this. You know, like, so it's like, what if my mom was a terror? And part of that for me was funny. Like, I don't know why that was funny, because it shouldn't be. I mean, like, I know people whose moms are a terror. And
I know, right?
That's a very real character.
Yeah, it's not funny at all. It's horrible. So I think it was just fun to add the humor. I'm not sure that it serves any purpose other than that I liked it.
It's good to have a little sprinkle a little humor in there. I noticed that also in Housed, where I know that it's like it's a comedy, like it's a straight comedy, but just whenever it was going too far in one direction or something, it would just get T-boned by some really solid comedy. And I will say that the singing in there made me laugh so hard. When the guys are like scatting with each other,
like,
and then
beatboxing,
and the other one, there's a solo performance as well where we were like crying. So it was really fun to watch that. Yeah, it was really fun to watch that to watch the arc. I know I said it before, where going from like a straight comedy to something that, Bugs is not very funny. There's not a whole lot that's funny about that. Would you be going back to comedy? Do you want to keep going more on a, like, what's the route genre wise with horror right now?
I think horror and comedy can be used in almost exactly the same way.
Sure.
So like when you're making horror, when you're consuming horror, hopefully you're feeling like a little uneasy. You're feeling a little weird. You're like a little vulnerable. You're experiencing something that maybe freaks you out. And while you're experiencing these things, you're going to be more open to new thoughts, new ideas, new people, new things. So it's like, here's a bunch of horror, and like, I'm going to sneak in my social agenda. Like, women are people too, like, to the side. And comedy is the same way. So you've got people laughing, and they're then vulnerable to what you're saying, and they're actually listening to you. They're actually hearing what you're saying, and they're taking it to heart. So I like horror and comedy both very much. Horror is more fun to make because I like being scary, and I like blood, and, you know, I like weird stuff. And comedy, I think, is harder. It's harder to do it right and do it well. But at Magic Dog, we do horror, we do comedy, and we do horror comedy. So we've always sort of done that. It's just that people are like, hi, can you make more horror for me? And I'm like, of course. Like, I'm not like, what about a comedy? Like, I'm like, well, if that's what you want, you got it.
I've accidentally, the little bit of horror that I have written is easily the funniest shit that I've written. I don't know why. I think it's just so funny. Like it's goofy. It's goofy, but I understand because if the boundaries are off, then just like wherever the story takes me, why not?
That was making play.
Yeah,
Right.
That was the really fun thing about Housed is like at certain points people were like, can we? And I was like, yes. You're asking that question. The answer is yes.
I have a very stupid question about House. Can I ask
Tell
this?
me. Yeah.
You were the zombie girl, right?
No.
No? Who's the zombie girl?
Oh, but you know what? I do. Shannon Kronstadt. We do kind of look similar. I was wearing the GoPro on my head. I was holding the H4. This was 7 kids and me. That was the crew, only crew. So I was operating the camera and the sound and the special effect. There was like, remember the part where, spoiler, la la la, if you want to watch this movie, the part where the baby bursts out of John.
I laughed so hard.
I had put the camera on one of the actors' heads. I'm holding my phone and I'm monitoring it. This is the monitor on the app. And I'm up on a chair operating the demon baby with fishing wire to have it fly out and hit the reflex at the same time. So I'm monitoring the camera. I've got sound like that. After I made Housed, I was like, well, I can do anything in the world. Like,
that's independent filmmaking. You did it. Yes. That's so funny.
I wish I'd been zombie girl. Damn it. I could have been actor too. Nah, Shannon was good.
No, I was only going to ask because there were some very specific World War Z moves that she did. But I was wondering if I was actually picking up on the right.
You'd have to ask her. I don't know.
No, that makes perfect sense. I know that the only times that I showed up in front of the camera, I was just talking to Jack about this, where the only time I showed up in front of the camera was when the actor didn't show up. So
yeah, I physically could not show up in front of the camera because I was running the camera on my head.
That's what
Robert. On my chest.
Yeah, Robert Rodriguez said that at the beginning when he was like, "If I could act in this movie, I absolutely would, but I can't be in both places."
Yeah, I can't.
So I guess I'll ask my buddy to be in front.
Yeah.
What else you got, Jack?
Well, I wanted to give Simone a chance to talk about her award that she won.
Yeah.
Hey.
What's the award right here that you're holding up with the bloody axe?
That is a Women in Horror Film Festival Best Director Award for Bugs.
Wonderful. Award-winning independent filmmaker.
Heck yeah.
That's cool. A horror, what is it? Women in Horror?
Women in Horror Film Festival, now called the Renegade Film Festival.
Interesting.
Very curious, yes.
And so do you have any festivals coming up? I mean, it's all digital these days, so it's hard to do the in-person thing, of course, as you know.
Yes, but I would have to look to see which one it is because I'm that kind of asshole.
Do you enjoy the festival process? It sounds like you've been to a few of them. So.
Oh yeah, we've been doing it for years. We've got tons of films that have been through festivals. Yeah, I like festivals a lot. I certainly enjoyed them much more when I could go.
Right. Yeah, this past year for festivals has been interesting. Did you get into any 2020 festivals?
Yeah, and they were all virtual, digital, and we showed up on Zooms to do Q&As, and like it's just not the same. Like,
yeah,
I'm a chatty chatter. Like I like to Jack knows. Like I'm like I'll see somebody.
You're
I'm
one
like,
of the least shy people that I know.
Yeah, I'm like, hi. you look cool. Are we best friends now? I'm pretty sure we're best friends now. Like, I'm like, do you make movies? Yeah. So I was like, hi. So I feel very like non-Simone when I can't just like rock up to people and be like, what's up? Like, I don't know you, but I do now. Like, so it's just not, it's not that, like, I don't get very much out of, appearing on like a panel and being like, hello, I made a film. I get a lot more out of talking to people, and especially people who saw the film and people whose films that I saw, like all that stuff is much more interesting to me than them being like, great job, you made a film. Like, I don't need that. I'm actually good.
Agreed. Yeah, that's really interesting. Do you have stuff going right now where you're waiting to hear from other shorts and stuff like that, right?
Yes. I'm a co-producer on a short film called Book by Eric Swizz, who is the maker of Scenes from the Underground, which was that New York City subway movie. And that's going to be premiering at the Crimson Screen Horror Film Fest in like a week.
Where's that?
I think that's North Carolina.
Cool.
It's digital because we're still a bit plaguey out here.
Just a little plaguey.
Just a little plaguey.
Feeling a touch of the plague.
Just a smidge.
Just a smidge.
Yeah.
But we have some trailers for some of your other work that we can show. We have
Tartarus is about to hit festival circuits over the summer, and you've already seen that trailer. And Recovery is another short film that I think we might submit to festivals, but I think we might go straight to video on demand. Amazon kind of screwed that up for us, but we'll see.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on that right now? Like, is it up in the air?
Well, to be completely honest with you, the client has no funds for festivals, so kind of makes that an easy choice. So we can't do it.
Yeah, fair enough.
I mean, some festivals I can apply to because they're free or because I'm an alum. But I think we'll probably just go video on demand with that one. So we're looking at all kinds of different platforms, and I'm not really sure yet. I know that the film isn't scary enough for Alter.
Alter?
Do you know of Alter? It's like the biggest YouTube horror platform for short films. You should check them out. They're they're huge. But the films that they select, like, it's a highly curated selection of films, and they're really only selecting stuff that's like that will like scare you. So like they wouldn't select Bugs because it's like a psychological horror. Like it's supposed to make you think more than make you like cry. So
is there decent traffic there? Does it get really?
Oh yeah.
Cool.
You should check it out.
Okay. I have no idea about independent platforms like outside of this stuff. Like I would love for you to keep us posted on the show about like what actually works, because Lord knows what the next thing actually is. Like, it's cool that there are these that there's something highly curated for what you're actually doing. It's just like without Amazon, I mean, I'm giving them way too much credit, I feel, but like, it's either if it's Amazon or YouTube, and I'm curious to see, go back on Parler, right? Movies on Parler.
Well, there's all kinds of different options, and Good Intentions is going to be where we're looking at trying to figure out where to distribute that. So there's a couple films I've got going for distribution. I will let you know. I'll keep you updated on where they go.
Please.
We have the trailers for Recovery and for Good Intentions. Can we show the Recovery one?
I would love to see it.
All right, here we go.
I get lonely watching the clock on the shelf. I'd love to rest my weary head on somebody's shoulder. I hate to grow older.
Ominous.
Stay out of the woods.
Yeah.
Is that the Connecticut one?
That's the LA one. We shot that in the mountains of LA.
Wow, it feels like
LA.
Doesn't feel like that.
I know, right?
Like a very northeast New England type of thing.
I think if you saw the whole film, you would see shots of like mountains that you were like, oh yeah, those are not in Connecticut.
Yeah.
Do you have is there like any difference between shooting in LA and New York City? When you have when you have the resources that you need?
The main difference is that in New York, like I said before, we're shooting in like these tiny, shitty, white walled apartments. And in LA, it's like, well, we're going to the mountain. We're going to shoot out there. and so there was a part where like we're inside the tent and we needed to do stuff like in there. We needed like a whole day. So we just like got a blackout tent and then we put the tent in the blackout tent, the orange tent in the blackout tent in my friend's backyard. It was like, she has a backyard. Nice. So we're going to shoot back there. So we did that. But yeah, it was similar.
There's an alley just behind my apartment here, and I'm like, oh my God, there's something different here. This feels like it just there needs to be a movie here all of a sudden. That's kind of the location that you get in New York City.
Yeah.
That was walking around Chicago. There's so many alleyways. Every single alleyway is a shot, it seemed like.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, I could keep talking to you. Should we watch another trailer? Let's watch another trailer and then see where it goes from there.
Yeah, this was Good Intentions, and you shot all of this. Everyone was on location for a month there, right?
We were together for 1 week, and so this was again Julie, who plays the scary mom in Bugs, and so she had a big house in Connecticut. They've since sold it, but they had enough. I was only 15 or so minutes away from her, so I stayed at my own house. But the crew all stayed there, and it was so much fun. If I could redo any shoot, it'd be that one because I've never been in a situation where we wrap and everybody like sits by the hot tub and like gets drunk. Like this, usually we're all like, fuck, we have to go home. We are tired. But it's like, now it's time to party and we'll get up and like eat eggs and do it again tomorrow. It was so much fun.
Isn't it? That was a movie party. We call that movie party. That's
movie party.
That's how we did Scrapers and Clean Sheets, where it was just like shoot the whole day and I'll make everyone food at the end of the day.
That was
fucked up.
Here
it's so much fun.
Good Intentions.
Oh, my heart, my beating heart.
The two of you are the most important things in my life, and I only want what is best for you.
I don't need you to tell me what to do.
There really is nothing to worry about.
Where were you? Where are you? You had no right.
What did she do? What did she do?
Sorry doesn't change what you've done. It is your fault. This is all your fault.
She skipped school today, so. It's okay, Mom. We all make mistakes. Sometimes.
Julia's so scary.
Oh my goodness. Gonna have to check that one out.
Have you not seen that? Oh yeah. Bugs is my feature film, but Good Intentions is the best film we've made. It's of the highest production quality. I think the best acting. It's just a really solid short film. It's too long. It's 18 minutes, but it's good.
I hate that it seems like that's too long.
According to festivals, yeah, it's too long.
Yeah, that's frustrating. It's also because
too short to be in a full-length feature festival.
Well, and that's the other thing about Bugs and Housed is they have interesting run times. My movies have interesting run times as well, where it's like 65 minutes, 59 minutes kind of a thing, which is like sometimes that's the perfect length. I used to do live shows in Chicago where that was the perfect length to do a live show because that was a party, you watch an hour and then you party for an hour and then you go home kind of a thing.
Right.
That's interesting. Do you is there anything you want to, is it the length that you want it to be, or do you actually think that it's too long? Is that a weird question?
No, it's not a weird question. Yeah. I think it's the length it should be. I've never had anyone watch it and be like, well, that dragged. It's just that they can't find a place to program it because of its length. So I think it's exactly what it should be. And a lot of people suggested, well, why don't you just cut it down for festivals? And I was like, well, why don't the festivals just suck my dick? I I'm not down with that. Like I will not tell you what festival did this, but I had a festival. Hi, Jam Doodles. I had a festival reach out to me about bugs, and they were like, hey, we loved this, but we have a bunch of notes for you. We want you to change it. We want you to cut out the black. The black. I was like,
what do you want them to, that you can't change it. This is a film.
I was like, sorry, I'm already doing my world premiere somewhere else, so thanks, but no thanks. Like,
that is bonkers.
And then they keep emailing me being like, because I'd had a bumper go to their festival a couple different times. Like I flew out to their festival before, so I think they wanted to like continue. And I was just like, who do you think you are getting to weigh in on my completed film? Like, excuse me?
You
gave us money once.
I've never heard of anything like that before.
I hadn't either, and neither had anybody else. And I was just like, I think they thought they were doing me a massive favor to make my film better. That's what they thought. They thought they were like helping me out.
I'm not putting this on. Like, I'm like actually in shock.
No, I know.
Like, what the fuck?
I wasn't even mad. I was just like, you guys are dicks.
How is this a thing?
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah.
This is what I needed to hear. Thank you.
That's insanity. I can't believe that. So where do you, okay, I have this question here. It's too big to really ask, but I'm going to lay it out and then we'll see where it goes. Okay. Where do you see all this independent, where do you see us going versus how would you like this to go? Is that clear?
Yeah.
Okay.
And by us, you mean independent filmmakers?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how's it going versus where I'd like to see it go? Well.
Yeah, and what do you and what would you like, what does the future kind of look like?
So in my experience, the main barrier for indie filmmaking is the funding. Like I've got wildly talented people who would love to be paid to do their work. Like, me included. So this is also the era of like iPhones. So like if you have a phone and an idea, you could shoot something that could be really awesome and genuinely, like, I don't want to say revolutionary, but like worth doing,
Right.
There's even festivals that accept, that want you to make films entirely on iPhones, they'll only accept certain
Right, exactly. And now we've got like literal children editing and making films on TikTok. Those are films. I don't give a shit if they're shitty social trends or whatever. Those are films and those kids are editing them. So we're going to have a whole new generation of filmmakers who just like rock up ready to go. But so the barrier is funding.
You just terrified me. Sorry. It's okay. I hadn't thought of that. And I watch it. I watch it all the time.
A 4-year-old, is that?
No, I mean, you think about that all the time, right? Like we were in, Jack and I can't speak for Jack, but we were in the same like high school film class kind of a thing. Yeah. So I always wanted to be able to edit when I was like 6 years old, but that's 1990, whatever.
on film, actual film,
or like VHS kind of like
recorder.
The Avio, remember the Avio, Jack?
Sure, of course.
And so I do often think about, well, kids have iMovie, but I didn't think about like, I watch enough YouTube to see the actual skill, like there's genuine skill in what these children are putting on. So for sure.
Yeah. So don't get me wrong. I do not have TikTok on my phone. I do not watch TikToks. I don't know anything about it. But I do know that there's actual skill involved.
Yeah.
The good news for you, Jake, and for the rest of us is that I firmly believe that while these kids are going to have editing skills and they're going to have new ideas, they aren't you and they aren't me. So this is not a zero-sum game.
Yeah.
There's not a finite amount of opportunities that are available to us. I'm a proponent of creating your own opportunities.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, I don't need anybody to do anything for me. That said, the next film that the next feature film that I make, I would really like to be with like an actual production company, not an actual production company. I run a production company, but like a major house that has major funding. I'm not raising a couple $1,000s to make a movie. Like I want to be picked up by an actual production house that's making multi-million-dollar films So that's what we're gunning for. Like, I've done the indie thing, I proved it, and now I'm ready to level up. So it's like all of those kids that are coming behind us, they have to do all that stuff before they can level up. And so they'll have to work their way through it. But again, they simply cannot, they are completely and utterly incapable of creating what I create because they aren't me. And same for you. So I really wouldn't worry too much.
I love it.
Question from Darius, who wants to know, do you think that non-fungible tokens will ever be involved in short films for finance or copyright protection?
What's a fungible token?
Like,
have you heard of NFTs?
Bitcoin or...
okay. Do you think that non-fungible...
We've been trying to figure out this NFT thing for the last month or so.
Dogecoins. Put all your money in dogs.
I'm going to say, Darius, I sincerely doubt it. This is everything about this industry is already a complete gamble. It's a risk. It's a crapshoot. And non-fungible tokens are not the same as money, as far as I can tell. Maybe they are. But it's not people want to be able to hold it in their hand. They want to know that it's real. Based on my understanding of the finicky, stressed out, nervous people who fund films, they're not going to go for that.
Yeah, the whole NFT thing seems like it's great if you are already an established artist. It seems like if you're an artist, this is a new way for you to make some kind of money. I'm following Kevin Smith is trying to sell his new horror film as an NFT. I think because he can't get actual distribution from other distributors.
Kevin Smith can't get
Kevin
distribution?
Smith, yeah, he made this film called Kilroy Was Here, Kilroy Is Here. And he made it with the kids, these students in Florida. And they finished it, and he's been trying to get distribution, and no one will pick it up. So he decided to sell it as an NFT, which, as far as I can tell, is a digital file on an auction site that then you own. So I'll buy the movie. That way I can put it up on Amazon Prime myself, make the money personally, be in charge of everything. It sounds like, I want to sell my movie lock, stock, and just take my movie. So I don't exactly understand. I'm still trying to figure it out because I feel like it's going to be gone as soon as it's shown up. I feel yeah.
So you're buying the rights to the film by doing that?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Wouldn't that cost a lot of money to buy the rights to that whole film? Because only one person or one entity can hold the rights.
That's
what have everybody holding the rights.
That's why I'm trying to figure out how it's any different than just putting is it just a name for putting your rights on an auction site? That's the conversation I had is putting your rights on an auction site called an NFT. That's what I'm trying to figure out because it reeks of 3D cinema to me, where it's let's indulge for a little bit, but I worked at a movie theater. For what it's worth, the 3D stopped making money for us, so we stopped doing 3D shows.
Yeah,
it just stopped working. So
novelty.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think if Banksy were to drop an NFT, he'll do really well. If I'm gonna drop an NFT, who the fuck cares? So that's
unfortunately, I think that's probably right. Same for me.
Right. It reminded me of people did really well with Kickstarter, but when the argument came around with established filmmakers using Kickstarter, I was always like, well, why wouldn't you use your established fandom to make your money if that's the way you're going to do it? It seems kind of perfect if you already have that. That being said, I see a reaction here. I want to know what you think.
That's not the first time somebody's been like, your face is speaking out loud.
I love it.
I have mixed feelings about crowdfunding in general.
Sure.
And that's mostly due to the fact that I've seen so many people that I'm friends with, that I know, that are willing to collect money from their friends and their family and their supporters to pay themselves to pursue their dreams. And I think that's unethical. So my main question is, these people who have this existing platform and this existing audience that you're talking about, are they paying themselves, or are they raising money to pay their cast and crew? Like these are the things that are important to me. Like I made Bugs for $13,000 because I didn't take any pay, and I was the director, producer, editor, everything else.
Right.
So it's like, what makes you think that your family and your friends should pay you to make a movie? Like that feels wrong to me. If so so it sort of falls under this umbrella of like taking advantage. And so when these people with these platforms, and in my opinion, probably already the opportunity to walk up to any number of different entities and be like, hi, I want to make a movie. And they'll be like, here's $1 million. Like, why are you taking this thing from people who actually don't have that opportunity in any capacity to walk up to anybody and do that? Like, because we don't have the clout or the name. This is our only avenue by which we can fund our work. And so you're coming along and you're sort of sucking dollars and you're already like a celebrity. Like, why are you doing that? Like,
sure.
Lame. Don't do that.
That's the best argument I've heard thus far. I know it's kind of, people aren't really talking about it as much, but I do think that as far as independent filmmaking is going, you have to have a conversation at some point. Like you said, it's all about funding. So like, do we have funding, or are we crowdfunding this thing? And if we are crowdfunding this thing, how are we going to do it? And in past episodes, we've talked about how like everyone kind of get one. And like,
I totally agree.
You burn out all of your personal connections because they've given you all their money.
Yeah, you think my uncle is going to pay for every fucking movie? Like, I don't.
What happened to the first movie, Jake?
Well, and you're not wrong though, because there is that other level of I don't know anyone specifically personally at all, but I have heard horror stories about people who not only take the Kickstarter money, but then can't complete the rewards, the whole shtick. Like, they're literally just taking the money. There is a great story. One guy he went so far over his goal on Kickstarter. I think he made a graphic novel that he like lost his mind, and halfway through the process burned it all, and was like, I'm done. I can't do it. I'm done. And then on the other side of that is is potato salad or egg salad. There's a guy who made like $10,000 doing an egg salad or something like that, but he gave it to charity. So,
not everyone has that ethical fortitude.
Legally, when you give money on one of these campaigns, you are doing so with the understanding that the project may never be finished and that you may never get your perk. Like, that's what you're agreeing to. So
taking advantage of that is so dirty. That's
I
greasy.
agree, but like,
if it's there,
you agreed.
Yeah,
don't agree.
We've said that this is something that we can do in the world, and people are people, so there it is.
Yeah, I guess there's in the independent world, and not to sound too whatever, but there's something to be said for completion, like to actually finish the project, and whether you get into a festival or not, being able to share it in its completed form, rather than stalling out at any point during this unbelievably long process, which you do everything from pre to distribution. You do everything, so like there's a million points where you can quit and just stop. Like there's a million,
But it's like you guys were talking about with the with the student films and things that didn't get completed, but the students walked away with the grade. Well, I guess I completed it enough to get my B- or whatever. But why did you bother to take it this far and not give anyone their due for all the work that they put into it? Like you rented all that equipment, you rented out the space. It's all shot. It's on a hard drive, just waiting.
It's 80% done. Just cut it. Give it to me. I'll cut it.
I've had that conversation. I just wish they'd give me the fucking footy. Just give me the footy.
Acting experiences like that. Oh, Darius has another one for us. If first-time directors and that are bare desperate for money, what else should they accept besides illegal stuff to get things made?
Are you saying that we should all sell drugs to make our first film? Like Jay-Z?
Or is this a money laundering question?
I don't know anything about money laundering.
I only know about the time that I put cash in my pants and it went through the dryer. That's
well done,
really
Jack.
all that I know. It was
you guys
clean.
are New York City, though, so you'd think that between New York City and Chicago, we'd have some idea of how to launder something. What is that line from Office Space? Look at us, such dorks looking up money laundering in the dictionary.
I once read a book, Darius, that said you should feel free to max out your credit cards in order to get your film made and then like deal with that later. That's not my advice. I'm not giving you that advice. But that's advice I read in a book once about producing films for indie filmmakers.
Is that one of Dale Carnegie's lost rules on how to win friends and influence people?
No, maxing out your credit card is, that is actually a pretty decent way to win friends. You
That's
what buy everyone lunch.
Yeah. That is what Kevin Smith did, but that was the biggest gamble. And he did not expect, he was planning on losing all that. He sold everything he had. He was going to show Clerks at the movie theater down the street and just be done with it. And he happened to luck into what he is now, which is great.
Was a calculated risk that I would not take.
Right, exactly.
Never.
I'm hard to go into that and go, this is the path I'm going to do, and it will be successful in this way.
Right.
You can't make a cult film. Like, you can't anticipate. I set out to make a cult film.
Right. It's like saying, I'm making a viral video. What the fuck are you talking about? You're making a video and hoping it goes viral.
I've definitely heard people say I'm making a viral video.
Me too. Me too. And I'm like, yes, you are. Good luck.
Yes, I am.
It's just me being a dick, though. That's me being semantic, you see.
Oh, Darius is clarifying. Have you ever been asked to significantly change parts of your film or script by investors and like that? Well, you kind of had that with the film festival
which is
thing.
Beyond ridiculous.
I told them no. But the actual answer to Darius's question is it depends on the project. It's done by case basis. So I won't mess with anybody until we have an agreement, a contract in place, and the contract will dictate how this works. So in most cases, client is always allowed to weigh in, and they get to be there for every iteration and every bit of the process. But in some cases, they do not, and I deliver them the thing, and then they go, great, and then we all move on. So it depends on who the entity or the client is, what kind of knowledge they have about film, and if I'm willing to let them meddle. More often than not, I'm like, once the script is set, or once we've agreed on an idea, you agreed. You shouldn't have agreed if you didn't like that. Here we are back to you agreed. So there have been times when people are like, I don't like that. And I'm like, well, according to section, CA in the agreement,
this is the
it doesn't matter that you don't like it. I'm so sorry. But you still have to give me the money to send it to festivals.
Do they thank you after the fact?
Yes.
Once everything's all said and done. Yeah.
I've never had anybody ever be like, damn it, you made the wrong choice. It's always I was thinking about something I thought that my nose was distracting, or it's always something not important.
Right.
And here's a perfect one. Julie, at the end of Good Intentions, we shot one part one day, and then the next day her sweater was inside out. You can see the seam on the outside of her sweater. And she's like, it's the only thing anyone can see. And I'm like, you're actually actively losing your mind in this thing. So if people are noticing the seam on your sweater, then you and I have failed so completely. And let me tell you, we are not failing. We're doing great. So she was like, I want to cut it. And I was just like, I'm sorry, but no, we're not going to cut that for the seam on your sweater. And then when she won Best Actress Award, she was like, thank you so much for not letting me self-sabotage over a seam.
That's great. That's, I talk about it sometimes in Walter Murch's hierarchy of editing. And that is very important, where it's if it's 51% emotionally correct, then the seam, but you're right. Please don't tell me my lighting is nice. Just talk about the acting if you don't mind.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
There's a scene in Introvert's Guide, Jack, where Adriana's jacket was bunched up in the back because of her mic pack. Mm-hmm. And she was just like, I can't deal with, we'll never finish the film. And I was like, contract dictates that we are going to finish the film. And we're leaving that in. Yeah, I was like, it's literally and so I was like, listen, you were the producer on this film. If you want to not have wardrobe malfunctions, then you need a wardrobe person. I was the director and wardrobe person and every other thing on set. So like, this is what happens when you don't have a full crew. Like that's, I don't know what you want me to tell you. And so she was like, fair. So it's like,
that's nice. Your
and
actors
I didn't notice it. It has not kept me up at night.
the only person who noticed it was Adriana, of course, because it's her body and her jacket and her acting. And so she's scrutinizing herself instead of watching the whole scene.
Yeah.
Right.
It's that perspective. You know what's going on around you on the day of the thing and in the final product, but nobody else does.
Sure.
I do it all the time. It's a human thing. It's a perfectionist thing, I think.
Well, and also if you've ever been around any kind of an actor watching playback, it's
I have a hard time editing my own videos.
They do care about the scene, but they're really looking at this half of it. So,
well, my experience with shooting my music video was like on the editing side, I'm looking and going, I wish this actor was better. And it's me.
Yeah, you really learn that you can go much bigger than you think you can. You can go real big if you want to. Would you mind coming back sometime and talking to us again?
I would love to come back sometime.
I like talking shop with you. This is so much fun.
Yeah, you guys are total dudes. Let's do it again.
What is this? What is this thing that Darius just wrote, Jack? What is this thing?
We're talking about bloopers in films. In Gladiator, one of the horse carts with the barbarians has a gas cylinder falling. Oh, yeah. In one of the big action scenes when Russell Crowe is like messing up one of the chariot races, you can see some gas tanks that are spilling out of the chariot.
Foolish filmmaker.
Yeah, and because of that, I would say that movie sucks.
The movie sucks.
How could
Don't
it
ever
even
watch that film? It's a waste of time.
That's why it didn't win.
Really.
Wait, it won Best Picture, but not Best Director. Is that why? Why? Because the gas can. They're like the direction is not quite there yet.
Yeah, the direction was pretty shit. Yeah.
Go back to Kansas.
Oh, is that Ridley Scott? I take that back. I love you, Ridley Scott.
Ridley Scott's too good.
Yeah.
I hate that guy.
So before we wrap it up,
no. Before we wrap it up, I don't mean to sandbag, but I'm going to sandbag, not you, Simone, but Alexandra, who's not here tonight. But she's a homegirl from Burlington, Vermont.
Yeah.
And she and I have been in a couple of plays together. 3, actually. I have some stills from a chorus line.
I can't see you.
Yeah, well, we're the shorties. If you look to the right, where
I see you. I see her.
Line starts to pan out a little bit. We're in the next row. So there's me, and to my left, there's Alex in our golden lame outfits. And then here's an overhead shot. She's in the front row in blue. And I'm in the orange undershirt.
Oh my God, you guys.
Yeah. Geez, that I want to say this was literally my 21st birthday when this picture was taken.
Oh, your baby.
Yeah.
Gotta hope you got it.
Yeah, so we did a few plays. We were in West Side Story, we were in a chorus line, and we were in Beauty and the Beast.
Wow.
Did you play the Beast?
So yeah, I know who you played.
Gaston?
Of course. No. I was LeFou. I sang the Gaston.
I knew it. I knew you were LeFou.
Yeah. It's the part I was born to play, baby.
I don't know. I have seen Jack's Mercutio, and it's something to behold, I must say. I've seen Jack bathe in a tub on stage.
Oh, wow.
It was my favorite Shakespeare, I must say.
Historically inaccurate.
That's Bones talking about Gladiator.
I hope it's the Gladiator one, but it could be the Romeo and Juliet one. It could be a variety.
It's Gladiator. Bones likes to drive around. We have 3 CDs in the car. The original soundtrack to Broken Arrow, the original soundtrack to Gladiator. Oh, and it's all the scores. It's the scores. The score to Broken Arrow, the score to Gladiator, and the score to Willow. And she says, I like to listen to them because it's like we're taking an adventure everywhere we go.
It's like you have the greatest hits of Hans Zimmer on.
It's so funny, but then there are some times when like traffic's bad or I'm in a bad mood or something. And it's just like it's like the opening Gladiator battle scene, and I'm like, I love you. This is crazy. Nice. Wonderful. So yes, please come back. Is there anything else you want to sandbag with, Jack? Any other sandbagging? Any other questions? Anything wrapping your brain, weighing heavy on your mind?
The only
Jack,
other
don't
thing...
hold back. Tell us what you're thinking, Jack.
What is it, Jack?
You have something to say.
Do you have something to say?
Just going to be the wrap-up question. What are y'all watching? What have you watched this week, and what has been on your radar?
Jack, you know what I'm watching.
Yeah, I do. But because we texted about it. But
texted this to you the other day.
But the audience can't read
I'll-
our text, and I'm actually glad.
The audience doesn't
Bring
read our
your text. I want screenshots.
No.
Next episode, Jack.
Tim Cook reads my texts, and Bill Gates reads yours. So
okay.
Yay. Okay. Well, what I've been watching is almost a little embarrassing. It became obvious that I had not seen Buffy, and I kept getting caught like on stage in Q&As or like in interviews with people, and they're like, in Buffy, because it's just assumed that like I grew up at the right time. It was on TV. I should have been watching it, but I was like watching X-Files with my brother. Like, I don't know what I was doing. So I kept being like, yeah, that one with the like. So I started watching Buffy, and so I was watching Buffy, and now I'm watching Angel because I can't finish Buffy, because when I finish Buffy, I'm gonna be so sad and empty inside.
Yeah, I understand that. There's a couple of series finales that I refuse to watch for the same exact reason. So as a side question, because I'm curious about you specifically watching this, Joss Whedon. How is it watching Buffy with the whole Joss Whedon thing going on now? Are you able to separate it and just talk to me?
This is such an interesting question, and it's something I think about and talk about a lot with other filmmakers and artists. And it's not just Joss Whedon. Like, for example, I love Michael Jackson music. Like there's other things that, and I think what it comes down to is, well, for Buffy, it's a lot easier to separate Joss Whedon from the rest of the enormous amount of people who worked on this project. Like I'm not going to dismiss the acting and the writing and the score and like all these different things because the creator of it was a shitbag.
Right.
So in this instance, it's a lot easier for me to separate it. Like I can just enjoy what's there for what it is. But when you have like a single creator like Michael Jackson, or he's really the face of it, or like for me, like a Roman Polanski film, it's like, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
Or even like Woody Allen, like it's Woody Allen's film, like it's his film. So for me, Joss Whedon is not the owner of Buffy. For me, Sarah Michelle Gellar is the owner of Buffy.
Sure.
Like,
well said.
She's Buffy.
Yeah.
But I go in circles because you don't want to watch a Harvey Weinstein flick, right? But he's just the producer on it. So does that make everybody else's, like, what if I'm like, you always do a thought experiment. What if it happens to me? What if I'm working on a project and years from now, I find out that somebody who was totally chill to me was being a predatory asshole to other people?
Right.
Does that completely negate the work that I personally did while not being a predatory asshole on that project? I would have to say no. Like that one person does not get ownership of that project. So in some cases, I think they do, like Michael Jackson, Woody Allen. And in this case, I would say no. I'm allowed to enjoy this for what it is, which is like feminist horror icon badassery.
Yeah.
Joss Whedon can't take that away from me, and he can't take that away from, I think, the show itself.
Thanks. That's the most succinct and well put I've heard of kind of this. I'm very easy. It's easy for me to throw Joss Whedon on the pile. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, whatever, Avengers, whatever. You know what I mean? But that is the kind of the first time anyone's put it in that perspective of like, you do know that it's an army that makes this, right? Like, it's a whole army of people. To give Joss Whedon that much power is like actually out of control. While still understanding that what Joss Whedon did was fucked up, and that it's now coming, home to roost or whatever is going on. But you're also absolutely right, where there's people that have been called out in the past. There's still people out there that haven't been called out yet and doing whatever. So thanks for taking that detour, because I didn't expect to have that conversation. We could definitely talk about that for like the entire next episode that you're on. You know, like
I think about this a lot. It's really important because you can't be like, I am my work and my work is me, but like very much yes, like that's also very much true. So like if I turned out to be an absolute shitbag, which I don't think that's gonna happen.
Maybe. Who knows?
But like, if
it's only Thursday.
Well, we'll give it like 24 hours. No, but like, let's say that something happened to me. And does that mean that Alex's work as the writer and the star of Bugs is somehow not as awesome as it is currently? Like, I would have to say no. Like, she wrote it and she starred in it, even though it's a Simone Kisiel film. Like, that belongs to so many other people than just to me. Like, I think that film is successful because of three people: Alexandra, Miriam Mayer, who did the score, and Tom Gambale, who did the post sound. So like those people are the ones in my mind who made that film come together. So yeah. But if you ask somebody who's just on the outside, they'd be like, well, it says right there, it's a Simone Kisiel film. It says right there. Right. So, you know, use your noodle, put in a little thought, and like come to a decision that's fair. And also, don't deprive yourself of things that you love because somebody else is a horrible human. Well said.
Yeah.
Love it. Jack, what you watching?
What you
watching, Jack?
Children of the Corn, 1984. First
Never
time.
saw it.
Neither have I.
Are you watching the sequels?
No, I just watched the first one.
Where is it set? Is it in Illinois? Where's the corn? Where
Nebraska.
is this? Oh. I don't care. And I don't care.
Yeah.
There is a lot of corn in Nebraska, though. That's true.
Yeah, it just keeps going. All them cornfields.
Are there any actors that I know in that movie?
Yeah. Linda Hamilton is in it.
Oh, well, that...
What?
I didn't want to watch it, and now it's sold. Like, that's an easy sell right there.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
She's great. And also, what's his name?
On
Horton.
the list.
Patrick Horton? Is that the guy's name?
Patrick Horton.
I don't know who that is.
He's the guy who looks like a guy named Patrick Horton.
Okay, we'll look him up.
But
That
yeah,
sounds
Linda Hamilton.
Well, we like Linda Hamilton. Were the kids spooky? Were the Children of the Corn spooky? Or
children are always spooky.
Yeah,
often.
So there's this kid who's definitely spooky, and I forget what his name is in real life. His name is, he plays the character of Joseph in the film, and he's the leader of all the kids. But there's this older actor, I think he's dead now, named Jay Robinson. He plays Caligula in The Robe and Demetrius and the Gladiators, and he's just this over-the-top, wonderful performance of Caligula, who's just like, Senators! And he just does all these amazing cape flourishes. Like, give me more of these cape flourishes. This is amazing. And he's also in the film Shampoo.
Oh, I have to rewatch it.
So, but separate from that, there's this kid who reminds me very much of that character. Every time he just delivers a line, it's said with that same gusto and that same
that's good.
That Jay Robinson does. So I'm like, I saw this. This is Caligula in The Robe.
I'm a sucker for a cape flourish myself.
There's a lot of great Roman sword and sandal films where that's a thing. Sign of the Cross, that's a good one. The Robe, I mean, that's a crazy film because it's all over the place. Demetrius and the Gladiator is a lot of fun just because it's the sequel, but The Robe tries to be kind of a serious take on the Jesus story mixed with the Roman Empire story. And then Demetrius and the Gladiator is like, nah, this is a movie. You're watching a movie.
Are you trying to tell us that you're trying to convert? Is that what's going on? Are you converting live?
Are both your mom and my mom watching? Today was my mom's day of retirement from the temple, so this would be the
what
best.
A shitty way to tell her, Jack. Oh my god.
So, Mom, I've been watching Sign of the Cross, and
Jesus is making a lot of sense lately. I don't know what's going on.
You know, he was Jewish, and he had all those followers, and they were like, you know, he's got some good ideas.
Willem Dafoe really rocked the shit when he played him, so I
haven't seen that one.
I haven't either.
Last Temptation.
The Robe, though, is what inspired Hail Caesar, right? Isn't that what they're? Isn't that the parody in Hail Caesar, the Coen Brothers film from the set in the 50s. That movie
Yeah.
took me a couple watches for that one.
Yeah. Another film that felt like it wasn't quite what it wanted to be. Oh, hey, Gigi. She's still here.
Mom, still Jewish, I promise. I'm doing what I can. Jack, stay. It's hard enough to
I try to get out and they pull me back in.
That's all it took. Jack, why don't you stay? Okay.
I spent all last year learning about the Romans.
Oh, I see. It's perfect. Makes perfect sense.
What about you, Jake? What are you watching?
I have been digging through these weird, like, Oscar-winning movies from the last decade. So I just watched Bridge of Spies last night. Because there are all these movies that I watched once and then just kind of didn't watch again. So I watched... I watched Bridge of Spies. I watched, like, Gravity, which was interesting.
Yeah, I like that one a lot.
I hadn't seen it since the theater, and when you watch it in the theater, it was in 3D, and now it's not. And it's interesting to see when people kind of break that axis and they can't hide it. It's like, it's supposed to be 3D. The screw, the screw is right there.
The tears, they just flow at you.
I rewatched The Revenant. Like, I don't know. I think I said that on another episode. Just a couple of movies where I'm just kind of like,
you.
Yeah, I guess I've been looking for kind of quieter movies. We watch a lot of YouTube.
Quiet Place?
No, Jack, not like A Quiet Place. There's a lot of screaming in that movie, actually.
I feel like that movie needs to be called Shut Up!
So this is a true story. We did watch A Quiet Place at the movie theater as a family, like at midnight before the movie opened. And halfway through, I yelled, "This movie should be called Doing Laundry," because there's nothing going on in this movie.
I hated that movie.
Like Emily Blunt doing laundry. Aren't you so excited for the sequel, though?
Shut up, shutting up.
No.
Well,
that movie sucked. It's just like, let me solve this for you. Go move to a loud place, like by a waterfall. Fucking idiots. It's not that hard.
No, there are some movies that I am going to purposefully skip over, like Shape of Water. I don't need to rewatch.
I enjoyed that film.
Well, maybe I should. There's a lot of Del Toro movies that I actually need to rewatch because I watch them once and I'm like, cool movie.
Have you seen?
But I know that people love them. No, but I think Bones has been trying to get me to watch that one for a really long time.
That's a good one.
Okay. I give the man credit. It's me, guys. It's me. It's not him. It's me.
You'll get there.
But yeah, no, I was really Bridge of Spies in the Post. Give me Spielberg doing Capra with Tom Hanks, and it's just pleasant. It's just pleasant. Very beat you over the head with what he's talking about, but also like what a kind, quiet young man that guy is. So we'll see. I'm talking about Mark Rylance in Bridge of Spies, the young man that won the Oscar.
Gotcha.
Anyway. Well, thank you so much for hanging out and spending so much time with us. It has been such a joy getting to know you and talk to you.
Yeah, likewise.
This is just an absolute joy. I do hope you come back soon.
I would love to.
Cool. And keep us posted on what you're doing. And tell me how it's working for you. Tell me how you're getting through with this post-pandemic, post-Amazon Prime independent film life that we're trying to do here.
Well, as of Monday, I'll be fully vaxxed.
Hooray!
So yeah, I guess I'll like appear in public or something. No, it's going really well. I've been doing tons of editing because, the plague. But I'm really hopeful. I'm supposed to be on set for a thing on Saturday and Sunday.
Great.
Yeah, I don't know what it really is yet, but like I'm gonna leave this house. I'm gonna do something. It's gonna be great.
That sounds wonderful.
Yeah. So basically, just hoping to get back to normal soon.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Jack.
Thank you, everybody, for watching the program tonight. If you want to, you can kick us a tip at Venmo at Jelly Roll Chicago. And if you haven't already, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Go to jellyrollchicago.com. And we will see you again next Thursday at 9 p.m., 8 p.m. Central.
We have Raul Benitez. He's a Chicago film programmer. He runs Comfort Film in Logan Square, which is like a micro cinema. And I'm dying to know what the hell he did for the last year to figure out what is all going on in the micro cinema world. So tune in. I have such an amazing slate for you guys. We'll talk about it soon. There'll be a bigger schedule, but there's some amazing guests coming up. So thank you, Simone. Thank you, Jack. Thank you, all people watching, and we will see you in the future.
I just think they're neat. Kids, turn off the TV. Always with the smooth talk. Your Uncle Arthur used to have a saying, shoot them all and let God sort them out. I just think they're neat, honey. You should listen to your heart and not the voices in your head, like a certain uncle did one gray December morn. At times like this, I guess all you can do is laugh. Now let's forget our troubles with a big bowl of strawberry ice cream. I just think they're neat.